Okay, so let's say when you open up a project, then you will see this interface. Okay, normally we will open up a blank project, but you notice that if you are connected to internet, you can get a few template. Okay, let me click on template. See, there are a few ready-made template made by Microsoft. And for instance, if you do not know how to start a project, for instance, you have no idea. Well, you simply can use the existing template such as residential. Okay, you can use the residential template, and you know, and then perhaps another one is commercial construction, which is close to construction anyway. And then there are a few more about construction. Project Management Institute is the overall project management knowledge, project management plan. So that is basically how do you start if you do not have any idea. Okay. So now let's open up blank project because I want to show you a few things, a few interface before we even go into the hands-on session. Hands-on session means to say we are going to create a work program based on a small data that I give you uh, step by step. Then at the end of the day, you will have to recreate the work program in order for you to earn 10% of the grade. Okay, I do allocate 10% of the grade if you manage to basically submit a few file as what we require. Okay, now when you open up a Microsoft project interface, you are going to see this thing. You are going to see two windows. There is a splitter in between two windows. So here is basically what we call the spreadsheet area. Spreadsheet area consists of, it is similar to Excel kind of columns: task name, duration, start, finish, and then you drag this line again, predecessor, and then resource name, and then what else? Okay, and then add new column. Actually, this column shown here is only limited to task name, duration, predecessor, and resources. And in fact, this is all the thing that you need to input in: task name, duration, start and finish will be generated automatically, predecessor, and then resources. You see, not many columns, only 4 columns. And bear in mind, when you input into the task name, so the way you input is basically like inputting any data into Excel. But then if we are talking about Microsoft project, remember, we need to organize the tasks according to WBS. Then only people can relate to. WBS basically mean we divide the item according to the work element. For instance, site preparation. Site preparation is a group of work normally you do at the beginning of the project. It might consist of a few sub-activity and sub-activity, such as site clearing, such as cut and fill, such as uh, could be grading, formation level, whatever things related to all kind of earthwork work job. Then come the substructure works. Substructure work involve piling, perhaps, involve maybe basement if you have basement structure, and then ground beam, stump, everything is with regard to substructure works below ground. Okay, then superstructure, etc., etc. So how do you do that? You do that by organizing your project. Now, let's say I insert column. You can basically insert many columns. You see, there are maybe 100 of columns that you can insert. Let's say I want to see my WBS. So you just type in W and all the W related wording will be there. Then click on WBS. You see, perhaps there are only a few things that you need to input into Microsoft project. Task name, WBS. WBS you do not input, you just organize it. I will show you how to organize things later on. Duration, you need to input. Start and finish, you don't have to input. It is automatically being set for you once you already set the project starting date, project start date at the beginning of the project. Predecessor is the one that you need to input, and then resource name is the one that you also need to input. Okay, but you do not input resource name directly into here. You are going to input it inside so-called resource sheet. Where is the resource sheet? You can find it here. This is a shortcut menu, consists of Gantt chart, and then here is basically, we call it resource sheet. You see, this is an empty sheet. So that's how Microsoft basically work. They do have all kind of information that you need to input into different sheet. But then if you want to attach into a certain what we call activity or task, then you need to link them together. Then only Microsoft project understand, oh, okay, so this activity is using these kind of resources. So automatically you will assign the resources from the what we call the list of resources that you input in the resource sheet. So that's how Microsoft project works actually. So even though the column looks limited, but then you see you can add column, you can customize column, you can even hide column. So when you hide column, you do not delete the column actually. Hiding meaning to say the column is there. If you want to take a look, and then please, by all means, you just insert that column again, and then it will appear. So that when you want to print out, for instance, sometimes when there are too many columns, then it is difficult to print into small piece of paper or even into a poster. So that's why you want to limit what kind of column that you want. Okay, and then that would be the sorry, the spreadsheet area. And then this one on the right is basically what we call Gantt chart area. Okay, where the Gantt chart will be drawn onto this area. And again, you can split, you can drag this slider to the most left hand side, so that now you can see all the Gantt chart in one screen. If your screen is too small, for sure you wanted to look at the whole thing, or later on you want to print out only the Gantt chart, then you do that. Okay, otherwise it will print many things which is you might not need. That would be the issue. Okay, that would be the view. It looks like you have two views. Actually, there is the third view from this screen that you can have a look. How to get into the third view. Okay, if you click on the menu here, view, if you click on detail, then you see the third window basically appear. So the first window is here. Second window, as I would say, the Gantt chart. And the third window is basically the detail of each of these items. But now you see there is no information because I did not input anything yet. Okay. And if you move your cursor to this area, you right click, then there are few selection more. Which detailing do you want? Then you basically can simply click, and then the detailing will be changed according to what you want to see. Okay, and there is a slider also, slider that divide between the what we call a horizontal section there. Okay, and sometime when you are in this mode, let's say you split this mode, then you want to go back into different view, so it is kind of irritating. Okay, so you couldn't get to the right view that you want because of you are in this mode. So you need to basically unclick this thing, okay, to resolve the problem. Or you can basically drag the slider down, and then you see the divider is now disappear. Okay, so what I want to show you first thing first is basically there are two windows. and being separated by so-called slider. One is spreadsheet, one is Gantt chart area. And then if I click on this thing, then I get a third window that show the detail of each task that I click. Now it seems that nothing is being shown because I do not input any information yet. All right. Okay, that would be the first thing first. Okay, then Microsoft Project works interface in such a way, see, all these what we call menu. If you click tasks, then all the horizontal menu will appear. The difference between, I'm using 2016 version, 2019, if you want to buy, it is better that you buy the latest version. I think for the time being, the version that on the market is still 2019. Normally, I think 2020 Office already out, and normally Microsoft Office would be 1 year late, a little bit late. So 2019 would be sufficient enough, and 2019, 2016, and 2013 will be the view is almost the same. If you use 2010, then there is a slightly different graphic. 2017 is totally different. Okay, it basically used the drop down menu. If you are using 2007, for instance, you might have difficulty trying to follow because the menu is maybe it is being put in different location, but you can basically use the same. No, for instance, if you are using 2017, then you open up in 2016, yeah, you can read the file, that there is nothing wrong, except that you might have difficulty trying to find the menu. Where does that thing basically being put? Okay, so it is better to use 2019, which is almost similar to what I have anyway. Okay, so that is the concept of the interface. When you click task, all the menu related to task aspect, task meaning to say activity. Microsoft Project Primavera do not use the word activity because, as I mentioned, the software is not meant for construction industry alone. It was meant for many discipline. Other discipline do call things differently, so that's okay. And then second is basically resources. All the thing about resources will be shown under that menu. And then report, if you click the report, a few of the menu about report will be there. And if you notice here, visual report, we are going to use this visual report to generate our S-curve. Okay, example of S-curve. And then project. Okay, project, for instance, this menu, project information. Project information is the one that you basically put the start date. When do you want the project to start? If let's say you want the project to start on the coming Monday, okay? So, and then you will change the date. And then the rest of the start and finish of an activity will basically follow the project start date that you already set. So it is very important at the beginning of the project, there are a few things that you need to do. One of the things is basically click on what is your project start date. Otherwise, the computer will use the today's date. Okay, today's date. And then change working time, for instance. This is what we call calendar. Later on, we try to click on this thing. And then set baseline is basically is the one that we are going to show you in the next demonstration anyway. It's normally used to update project. If you want to update a project or what we call monitor a project, the file must be saved into a baseline first. Otherwise, you cannot basically otherwise you cannot update a project where the computer will not give you the comparison between what is the current and then what is the actual, because there is no benchmark. Okay, that is the concept. And then view. There are many things that you can view. You can even sort. You can even filter, group in order to zoom into particular activity only. Let's say you want to take a look at critical activity only, then you can do that. Okay, but then if, for instance, you are in the filter mode, the um, the computer will give you only activity that you are in the filter mode. So, and then there will be this kind of indicator, the filter indicator at the bottom of the screen there. So don't get panic when you get the Microsoft project file, and then you notice that, oh my God, there could be things messed up. No, actually it is in the filter mode. Okay, sometimes people send you file, maybe they are working on, they want to zoom in into particular thing, they filter or group, but the data is not gone. Actually, it is there, except that it is in filter mode. All right, okay. So, and then certain formatting. Um, the one that basically being shown here is what we call default in terms of the gun, in terms of the color, the box, etc., etc. So if you don't like it, then basically you can venture into changing colors. So that's why normally, in order to understand the software, you need to, if for instance, one day you are going to venture into become a planning engineer or whatnot, so you need to learn about the software first. And there are courses that go through the software itself. Normally, maybe 3-day courses. Some of the courses basically use the step-by-step Microsoft project books published by Microsoft company itself. Okay, so it is like learning Excel. It is like learning Word. Normally, we do not learn Word or Excel, but there are courses. If you want to be professional, then my advice is basically to go and learn about the software itself, because there are a lot of things about the software features which I also cannot explain. Okay, that would be one thing. That would be one uh, one I call it knowledge level, in order to understand about Microsoft project interface, how the software works. Okay, that would be one part. And then there is another courses, different type of courses. We call it managing project using Microsoft project. And normally, this is when you get into the detail, how you utilize Microsoft project in order to manage your project. So the second part of our demonstration is about that things, okay? And normally that course will run for, they call it 3 level, basic, intermediate, and advanced. Normally for the basic and intermediate, it could be maybe from 2 days, and then plus another 1 or 2 days more for intermediate, and then 2 days more for advanced courses. Then only, okay, then only basically you get the right knowledge. But then having that kind of knowledge is not going to be sufficient, because there are a lot of trick and many things which basically not being put in the books. So that's why people who are professional about scheduling, they do share the problem or tip and etc. in certain forum. If you go into Planning Planet, for instance, uh, Planning Planet is all about the scheduling professional. So there are scheduler that they are facing all kind of problems. Sometimes they do share the tips, and if you do have problem, then you can post a question there. Then a lot of people will basically answer or help you. Okay, and then only plus the experience, then only you can become what we call proficient scheduler. And the good thing about scheduler, Later on, you can apply to become chartered planning engineer. So nowadays, if for instance, for a normal scheduler or planner, they are quite highly paid because it is not in our country, for instance, it is not a norm yet where every project should have one scheduler or what we call planner. Okay, it is not a norm yet. Maybe time will come where one dedicated person will handle this thing. Then only we see the project is perhaps will be running much smoothly because there are dedicated people looking after the planning and then the dedicated people looking after the safety aspect and quality, etc., etc. That should be the way. Okay. All right. Now, okay, let me show you with a few of the interface that we are going to use. Okay, first thing first, you notice at the left side of this screen here, you notice that there is a small icon there. Okay, if I use my mouse, right click, okay, you notice that this thing will be shown and I click on view bar. Okay, perhaps when you open up your Microsoft project for the first time that you getting the software, for instance, when you open up, you are going to see something like this. So perhaps you are wondering where basically the left side of the menu come from. Well, okay, so just move your cursor here, right click, and then list of the thing. And normally the tick one, the tick item there will show the either the default or you are in whatever current views. If you want to click more, you can do that. Okay, so to get that shortcut menu, you can click view bar. Click here, and then you see, so I found it very useful because all this menu, you can basically, it is being embedded into this sub menu. Sometimes it is very difficult to find those things. So it is much easier. So perhaps everything that we need to use mostly are here. Okay. If you are using computer with a bigger screen, then you can see things much better. All right. So now next would be before we start, I want to show you about this issue. If you click task menu, then you will notice manual schedule, auto schedule. If you drag your mouse here, at the bottom here, you click, see, auto schedule, manual schedule. Okay, now let me input two tasks. Let's say task A, the name of the task, and then task B. Okay, see, I input A and B. And you notice here on the left side, 1, 2. 1, 2 is basically ID, automated ID being generated by Microsoft Project. And Microsoft Project only recognize the task name by this ID, not by the task name. You can put whatever name. So, but Microsoft Project will only identify according to this auto numbering. This is the ID for task A. Okay. So this ID later on will be used in the predecessor. In our class, we learned that we do connect activity between A and B and C, etc., etc. But now you have a paradigm shift that the connection will be done using this ID. Okay. All right. So you notice, and then the task mode. Task mode here, you see these two icon here. It looks like the pin. Okay, the pin that you stick on the wall or whatever. There are two pin. So because these two tasks is basically on manual scheduling. Okay, manual scheduling. Since 2000, I'm not really sure whether it is 2010. I'm sure that 2013 they already have the manual scheduling introduced to the system. Okay, previously everything is basically automatic scheduling. Okay, let's say if I change into auto scheduling, let me click on auto schedule. You notice now Okay, the system basically will shown in different icon here, and the duration, the computer will ask you 1 day question mark. So what does this question mark mean? So this is what we call the automatic format. So the computer is asking you, is it 1 day? So you must answer to the computer, is it 1 day? No, it is not 1 day. I want to change it to 2 days, but then you need to enter. Okay, now by right, when you input, if you are using automatic, for instance, by right, we do not want any question mark on the duration column. A question mark meaning to say you do not click enter yet. So the computer is still asking for your confirmation. Then here,
The duration mean that the start and finish of the activity, Doctor.
duration, yes. Yang ini, yang ini.
Okay.
Start and finish ni. Okay, let me, okay. Here, the Gantt chart here. Now the Gantt chart, let me make it bigger so that you can see. See, the Gantt chart is now being drawn 2 days. Why it is Monday? Because today is Saturday is off day by default. We can change that anyway. And then Sunday also by default is a holiday. So that's why it is being shifted on Monday. But again, Monday also, next Monday will be holiday again in Malaysia. But then the system do not know it is a holiday because we do not set those things. If we set those things holiday, then it will shift into Tuesday as the starting date. Tuesday and then Wednesday as 2 days. Okay. The duration wise, the unit that by default, it is a 2 days, but we can change, either we can use, I think we can use hour, maybe even minutes, I think. Okay, later on we can check. Minutes, hour, days, week, and month. And we can mix and mesh the unit into the same project, but we have to be very careful, otherwise we get confused with all those unit anyway. It is better to use one same unit for the whole entire project. Okay, so if you are using automatic as for the first activity, so the meaning to say you need to input into this column based on the format that the computer want. Let's say predecessor. Okay, we do not have the predecessor yet. Okay, and then the resources, we don't have the resources yet. Okay, that will be the automatic. Normally, when you choose the automatic, you have to basically input according to the right format. Otherwise, the computer will reject. Will give you all kind of sound, ting, 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 ting. Meaning to say, you do not input according to the right format. So that is the automatic. Whereas the manual, okay, why manual scheduling is invented? You notice that duration, let's say you do not know the duration. You just simply say, wait for the boss, wait for the boss. You see, you can even write things inside this column. You can even write things inside here, the KIV, the date, end of the month, whatever thing, and etc. etc. Even the predecessor also, you can write things. So normally the manual scheduling, remember when we talk about planning it is not an easy thing. It involves brainstorming. Okay, let's say you have a project and then you want to develop the WBS. You normally will call everybody, important key person, to come for the meeting, to have the brainstorming session, and then everybody will give ideas. And normally the old way of doing things, basically you put everything on the blackboard or whiteboard, and maybe you have the stick pad, stick memo pad there. You write something and you put so that you can easily arrange. So instead of doing that, then basically you can just simply open up Microsoft Project and one person will be typing this thing using the manual calculation. Later on, you can change into the automatic by when you have all the necessary information. So perhaps this is the reason why the automatic thing is being embedded into the Microsoft project, which is good. But for us, for the starting, we don't have to use the manual. We just simply use the automatic to start learning things. Okay, now let me. Okay, so I already erased. Sorry, I already explained about those items, why schedule and manual scheduling, and in fact, you can even what we call set at the beginning of the project so that your project will be automatic and then all manual scheduling. Just one setting, that's it. There you go. Okay. Okay, now let me erase this thing. Okay, to erase, you can just simply highlight and then you click delete on your board, on your what we call okay, and then there you go. All right, now let me try. Okay, select automatic because I want to show you how certain things are being interacted, or basically how to input information here. Okay, first thing first, when I already selected the automatic scheduling, let me put a few example: A, B, C, D. Okay, now I already input for what we call activity. By right, activity should have a proper name, but this is just example. And then you notice WBS, see, A, B, C. So that 1, 2, 3, meaning to say it is only on the first level. Remember, the first level of WBS is level number 1, but then you have item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe until 100. But how about the second level, third level, fourth level? So that's why you need to arrange those things according to what you want. You want to group under what category? Okay, that will be next things. Okay, let me hide column WBS. See, when I click hide column, WBS is gone, but it is there. Later on, I'll come back into that. Okay, now I want to input the duration. Let me put 2, 3, 4, 5 days. And you notice that automatically Gantt chart will be drawn. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, starting from next week, that will be each day of the works. And the date given here is basically early start and early finish. Where can we take a look at the late start and late finish? Don't worry, there are those information. Where can we have the total float, free float that we already learned in the manual scheduling? Yes, they are inside here. Okay, later on. Okay, now I want to show about predecessor first. How do we connect activity together? One of the easy way, if those activities are finished to start relationship, let's say all activity do have finished to start relationship. Okay, so it is easy. I just simply highlight those activity, and then I can use this what we call this icon here, link, and this is unlink. Unlink means to delete the link, and then this link is basically to link finish to start activity. Then I click it here. Then you see, and automatically the what we call the Gantt chart is being shown. They do have link finish to start relationship, and as I mentioned to you, see, the computer only recognize this numbering 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's why the predecessor is using this numbering, meaning to say activity B is connected from activity A. Activity A is using number 1. Activity C is connected from B. B is basically number 2. So that's how you use those numbering. Okay, that would be one thing. One thing is basically you can connect using this kind of link, or okay, or if you already know how to use how the predecessor is being linked using this numbering, okay, then basically you have to do it manually. One click, okay, then you see it is being linked. Then two, and then three. Okay, so second is basically you can once you understand the concept of link in between this value here, then you can put manually. You can type it manually here, this predecessor. Okay, you do not use this link button. You type it manually, and then let me erase it again, because there are so many ways to link those activity. Okay, let me make it bigger for the Gantt chart. And you can use the Gantt chart. It is easier to use the mouse. You see, when I click here, hold the mouse, and then I drag it here. So you see, there is a link icon there. Then those items is being linked. Okay, now I already link them together. And similarly, you see the same link being shown. Okay, the fourth one. Let me erase again. Okay. We are now is basically in a Gantt chart mode. And if you look at this, what we call icon, after the Gantt chart, the second one is basically, we call it network diagram. This is what we call PDM diagram in our manual class. So network diagram refer to this PDM diagram. You can click here. See, there are 4 activities that we already input in the Gantt chart is being shown on this template here. 4 items. And in fact, you can even start inputting what we call the inputting into the spreadsheet area using the Gantt chart area here, instead of going to the Gantt chart menu here. You can go straight to the network diagram and then start putting all the activity into this blank piece of paper here. How do you do that? Let's say using your mouse, see, using your mouse, then you see, I create a box. That box where, because now I do not arrange those things, so those things just appear. And you notice that in Gantt chart, see, those box basically appear here, because in my network diagram, I just simply put it here. I can basically change here. I can drag, put at the end of the what we call a list there, and you notice the blank box is there already. So the blank box is there. Then later on, you can drag to the right position that you want. If I double click here, there are all information related to that activity will appear. You can click what could be the predecessor, the resources, advanced, node, custom, etc., etc. Now, let's say this activity doesn't have any name. I just put it E. And then this activity doesn't have any duration yet. Let me put 2 days. Then I click OK. So now it basically, if I go back, you see, now that activity already have name and already have 2 days. So then, if for instance, I choose to work on the network diagram page, I can simply link those activities together, which is much faster. Okay, you see, now I already link. And if you notice that the red color box indicate the critical path. Why? Because it is only one path. So all the activity are critical. If you are developing many activity later on, you will notice that critical path activity will be shown as red, and the blue color will be shown, indicate as non-critical activity. Okay, now everything is red. You see? So now the predecessor is being linked. The link that I basically put using the network diagram. Okay, and for instance, in this network diagram, if you click at this link, let's say double click at the link, then you will see the type of the link for in between activity A and B. A and B is basically finish to start activity. Let me change to start activity. And then even the lag is being shown here. Do you want the lag +1, positive, or negative? Let me put negative, because start to start activity, negative would be more reasonable. Okay, let me click OK. Okay, all right, A and B. You notice that there is nothing happening here, even though I already changed start to start, because from what we learned in manual drawing, start to start, you would draw the line from the left of the box, indicate as start, and then the arrow will go into B, indicate start. So that's how the start to start is being shown. But in Microsoft Project, now it doesn't show. Is it because I'm not using the original version? No. There is nothing to do with that thing. Now, okay, let's go back to Gantt chart. Now you see the Gantt chart here, okay, the Gantt chart here now show the right things. Because A and B, I put negative. Negative meaning to say I advance the starting of the following activity B by 1 day. And since it is holiday, it look longer, because Saturday and Sunday is not working day. So Friday is the working day. It's still 1 day. So I ahead, okay, I put ahead for the starting of B. And you notice the thing here. This is how you basically write the right format. Okay, the right format for predecessor, if basically you input it manually, you basically need to do something like this. Because sometimes when you prepare the data, you might want to prepare in the Excel first. When you prepare in Excel, make sure that you prepare using the right format. Otherwise, when you want to import or copy paste into Microsoft Project, the computer would not be able to read, because the computer basically do not understand what you mean by certain things that you put. So you must put according to the right format. So let's say here you notice that there is a what we call entry bar column here. I can change directly here. Let's say instead of negative, which is basically lead, I want to change into positive. Positive meaning to select. So what would happen? You see, now the computer is showing in the bar chart. Yes, it basically it does show you the right basically relationship, but in the Gantt chart, regardless of how you change, it won't show, because that is the weaknesses of Microsoft Project. For the time being, they still do not be able to show you the right graphic. I think my Primavera able to do that, because Primavera is much more expensive. Maybe sometime in the next version, they would improve bit by bit. Okay, but that is not our concern. If you double click on this relationship again, you notice that the relationship is correct. This is what we input, and it show the correct things, and the computer will calculate correctly, except on the graphic. That would be the issue. Okay, now, okay, I already show you many ways of inputting the data into predecessor, and the last one is basically resources. Okay, resources. We are yet to complete those things. Okay, let me input the resources. Okay, let me just simply put 1 in order to make it simple. Okay, before we go into resources, okay, remember about our WBS. Okay, now let me open up the WBS again. Insert W. Okay, WBS. Okay, so you see everything is on level number 1, and we do have 5 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What if? Okay, what if, for instance, we do want to group certain tasks under certain name or certain category of work. Okay, in order to do that, you must basically insert on the top of the task that you want it to be grouped together. Let me say it is under zone A and zone 1. Okay, you see zone 1. And then I also do have zone 2. Let me say zone 2 basically belong to activity C, D, and E, let's say. So I can insert, never mind, if you make a mistake, inserting into the wrong thing, you can always delete, and then you can move, because it's like Excel. You can delete, insert, you can even move the cell, the row up and down, doesn't matter. So let's say it is zone 2. Okay, now you see, I already created the name. Zone 1 and zone 2 is basically name. It is not an activity or task. It is just the name. Okay. So when you created those things, zone 1 or zone 2, or you can name it a phase 1 or phase 2, you can name it what? Precinct 1, precinct 2, whatever thing that you just simply want to associate with certain name. Remember that those duration that is keep asking here, is it 1 day? You do not want to input any duration for that. That duration will be automatically calculated based on the relationship or the activity that you group them under. Okay, so example. Okay, before I do that, okay, there is a mistake here that I want to 3, 4. Okay, sorry. 1, 2. Zone doesn't have a predecessor. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3. No, sorry. 2, 1. Here. 1, 3. Activity 3 as a 2. Okay. And then activity 5. Three, and then this activity D as 5, and then this activity, what is this thing? E as 6. Okay, let me show you the issue with WBS. Okay, with the issue with WBS. Okay, let's say A and B belong to zone 1. Okay, what I do is basically I group A and B. Okay, I select A and B. I select A and B, or whatever activity belong to, supposed to be zone 1. Okay, so whatever thing below the row of zone 1. Okay, so you just simply choose those activity only, and then you are going to use this button, what we call the right arrow here is we call indent, and the left side arrow here we call outdent. What is indent and outdent is all about? So indent is just like when you write your what we call a report or thesis, whatever. Remember, you tab. Okay, so tab is just like indent. You tap in order to show that this the subtopic basically is not the main topic. It is subtopic. And then another subtopic, sometimes you indent it again in order to differentiate between what we call the grouping. That is the concept. And normally, when you start writing, let's say chapter 1, there will be, you start with chapter, with item 1.0, and then subsequently 1.1, 1.2, or if you have subtopic 1.21, 1.2 to 1.1.1, that is the same concept that we are doing here. So now, if I choose those activity and then indent, okay, then you see what happened is that now WBS already shown 1.1. So I already grouped those items under 1. 1.1 meaning to say this is a second level. The first level will be everything is basically just for 1. Now we already group. We do have what we call sub activity 1.1. But if I want to regroup again, let's say I do have I do have A1, A2, A3, A5, F whatever. I can add a few of the insert tasks under A, and then A will basically become the what we call the activity for the following. Okay, if I do have those things. Okay, but now if I do not want to do that, okay, because we do have example in the second part of our demonstration. Okay, let's say CDE. Now I want to group under zone 2. I click indent, and you notice that so those activity are being grouped under zone 2, and you notice that the what we call the bold for row number 1 and then row number 4, even the duration is being calculated automatically based on the relationship between these two activity A and B, and then activity C, D, and E. Basically, if you add 4 plus 5 plus 2, that will be equal to 11 because all relationship is just finish to start, as simple as that. Okay, so that's how we group. And if you notice that there is a small what we call triangle here. If you click triangle there, if you click this triangle, you notice that, let me drag this thing, our Gantt chart. Okay, Gantt chart, if you want to look at the whole Gantt chart, you can go for view and then entire project. I see the whatever screen that you have, the computer will try to adjust and show everything. So that's this thing is very important. It's very helpful. You can click on entire project, so that you see, you notice that when I click on zone 1 and zone 2, where basically my activity have gone, is it disappear? No, it's just hiding behind. So normally when we mention about the type of scheduling, we do have master plan, and then we do have detail project. Okay, normally master plan we might submit to, I don't know, maybe it depends on who is going to read. If you have thousands and thousands of activity, and you have with all kind of detailing, the big boss might not interested to look at all those detailing. Big boss just want to have a look at the overall. Okay, so when you want to show the overall, you just simply show the main activity, and you notice it will look something like this. And what is this thing is all about? If you click, you move your mouse, it will give you, where is it? It will give you, doesn't show here, okay, the summary task. And when I open up there, okay, see, this is what we call, okay, I see, my mouse basically able to click on this thing, summary. So this line is basically just summary. And in that summary task, there are 2 activity, and the second in zone 2, basically there are 3 activity. And if you click on network diagram, you notice that the activity are basically A, B, C, D, and E. But how about this, what we call, it is not a square shape, it is a slanted shape here. So this is just the summary. Normally the summary task will be shown at the left side of the area here. So don't get confused between the summary task and the main, what we call the activity task. Okay, so let's go back to the, all right, then what else that I should just give you information. Okay, if for instance you make a mistake in terms of highlighting those things and you basically group a certain item into a wrong group, don't worry, you simply highlight back what is basically that you already click wrong, and then basically you use the outdent button. Okay, you outdent a few times and then perhaps it will go back to the original, and then you basically select and indent again. Okay, sometimes we do make such mistake because we wrongly group certain item. Okay, now next, the last part. Okay, the last column that I want to show is basically insert column resource. Sorry, resource. Okay, let me insert column resource. Resource name. Okay, resource name is there. So let's say, in fact, predecessor, if you can basically move the column, just select and then move. Okay, if you do not want those things to disrupt your views. Okay, now we want to focus on resource name. So you see, resource name is still empty. How do we input resources? We do not input resources directly on resources name. We are going to input into resource sheet. This is what we call resource sheet. Okay, so how do we input? We input, for instance, we input, remember resources, we mean man, machine, and material. Let's say man consists of who? Project manager, engineer, workers, and then workers could be who? Carpenter, bricklayer, concreter, etc., etc. Okay, so you input all those people who are supposed to work at your particular project, and then okay, the next one you can input what we call machine, bulldozer. Let's say bulldozer, and then excavator. You can input a crane, dumper, etc., etc. Then you can input what else? Man, machine, and material. For instance, earthwork, rebar, formwork, concrete, okay, and all kind of work, all kind of material. But when you input material, you notice that there are 3 units. You change to material. You change to material, and then you change into material. Okay, and then you change into material. For the manpower and machine, you keep them as work. Okay, and then you notice that you can also input item in terms of cost. Example, traveling, inspection, cleaning, okay, subcon A, subcon B, etc., etc. And you can change this thing into unit of cost, unit of cost, unit of cost, and unit of cost. Okay, so for the cost, this is what we call lump sum cost. you basically choose the type as a cost, but the rest as basically could be under work, but for material you put under material. Then you can put unit. For instance, unit earthwork could be cubic meter, rebar could be in term of ton. What else? Formwork could be square meter, concrete could be cubic meter, etc., etc. for material. And the most important thing later on is the maximum unit. How many number of bricklayer, for instance, maximum you want to be at the site? Maximum meaning to say at one time the maximum number. Okay, for sure it is not going to be one. It must be, you must basically put some number. Why? Later on you will know what does this number basically mean. Okay, and then standard rate. This is how basically you link the costs, or you will get the cost for your project if you input the cost to either manpower, machine, material, etc., etc. If you leave it blank, for sure there is no cost is going to be shown. And if there is no cost, then how are you going to see the S-curve from your Microsoft project? For sure, you cannot see. Okay, so the good Microsoft project should basically have some kind of cost, and in fact, each of the activity that we do, for sure, must have some costs. You do not do things for free. Of course, there are some things that you do for free. For instance, inspection, where you use the existing manpower, unless you bring the specialist to do the inspection, then you have to pay them. There is a cost that you can attach under inspection. Okay, all right. So there are many ways that we can input the costs, and one of the way, instead of splitting the cost into manpower, machine, and material, why don't, which is quite difficult, because in Malaysia, for instance, we are not used to pay people according to hourly rate. We do not have that concept as concept very clear, especially when it comes to professional. Maybe workers, yes, but in Western world, America, for instance, they are very used to using hourly rate, even for engineer or whoever professional they do have. That is the system. So that's how, when they use the software, they can use the software efficiently, because the payment system, whatever, is being tailored toward the way they practice things. So, but one way to resolve the situation, we can just simply use, we can input the value in here, material. Because remember, when you get a project, the contract document or tender document, you put the unit rate for each item. Then at the end of the day, you are going to total up. So what does unit rate mean? Unit rate simply mean is the combination of the material cost, manpower cost, and machinery cost plus the profit. So why don't you use that rate inside here? Then if you already know how much is the earthwork that you need to do for each of the item that is selected, then only you will get the cost will be total up. Okay, example. Let's say the earthwork is 20 ringgit. Rebar is 3,000 ton. Formwork is I don't know, 20 ringgit. Sorry, 20. Okay, how about concrete? Maybe 350. Okay, so we already input. Let's assume this is unit rate. You can get the unit rate easily from JKR or CIDB Malaysia website. Okay, so that unit rate is already inclusive of the profit. Okay, but how about the cost? We do have a lump sum cost. Lump sum cost, we do not put it here. That this is not the place to input it. We input it different in different way. Okay, now this is what we call a resource sheet. You know what? You can basically put all the resource sheet, the information into the resource sheet, and just simply save the file. without inputting all these data first, because that resource sheet act as information. This is like library. You keep the data, even though you put many things from different projects, but then when you link the activity with this what we call resource sheet, you are only going to select the relevant one. The irrelevant one is not going to be related to the project, and it will not be calculated. So don't worry about that. Okay, now after inputting some kind of resources into our resource sheet, how are we going to, you see, the resource name is not, is still blank. As I mentioned, the way Microsoft project work is that you input some value inside a certain thing, and then you need to link them together. Then only the computer will basically understand. Okay, and if you click on this activity here, you notice that all the thing that we input is already here. Before it is blank. You can basically click, okay, click each one, which one that you basically thought it will be the resources, then there you go. So the proper way to do that is basically you click an item, each activity one by one, or you can click multiple activity if they do share the same resources, but then you click on the resource menu. Okay, resource menu, you click on assign resource. You see this dialog box is here, is asking you what resources that you want to use. Okay, let's assume activity A could be earthwork. So I will use bulldozer. Let's say, what else? I will use bulldozer, and then I will use what? Let's say I use subcontractor A. Let's assume. Then I need some workers. Okay, then I click assign, or you can just simply press enter. Now, the one being ticked here indicate the chosen one. You can delete, you can amend whatever things. Okay, now the computer is asking you, bulldozer, how many bulldozer that you want to use? Let's say I need two. I need two. Okay. Okay, I need two. And then subcon. Remember subcon, we use the unit of cost. Here, now the cost, basically the computer allow you to input the cost as a lump sum cost. Let's say 10,000. See, I just simply input there. But in some situation, you cannot, because it is automatically will be calculated by the computer according to which unit you use. But if it is the cost, this is the place you input your data. Workers, you see, worker, let's say I need 3 workers. So the workers is 0. Why? Because I do not have any costs that I input into the workers. All right. Okay, now let's go into activity B. Okay, activity B, let's say activity B may be earthwork, excavator. Okay, I assign. And you notice that earthwork, excavator, maybe excavator is basically 2. Still 0 because I do not assign any money with that. And then the earthwork you need to input the unit. Let's say I input 1,000 cubic meter, square meter of cubic meter of earthwork. So I already have the unit, I think 20 ringgit or whatever. Now it becomes 200,000. You see, that's how the cost is being calculated. Now, when we input into our resources, certain value here, earthwork, 200 ringgit, or 200, doesn't matter. Okay, just assume 200. And then you notice that it will be calculated 200 times 1,000 will be 200,000. And you notice that there are red person here. red person appear. Later on, we will get into this thing later on. And you know what? This thing indicate, that's why computer is helping us. That's why we call computer as a tools. If you click, move your cursor here, it say, these resources is over allocated, meaning to say it is insufficient. You only allocate one, but okay, you only provide one, but then the workers basically, you notice, in certain work in item number 2, you require workers. Let me click. Sorry, let me click here. You require 3 workers, whereas the maximum unit you allocate at the construction site is 1. So you see, the computer is helping us to notice that your workers is insufficient. What you're going to do with that? Okay. Later on, when we try our exercise later on, we are going to have this issue. Okay. So for the time being, I just want to show you how to input resources. Okay. Now it looks like 2 of the activity already have some kind of cost. And how do we know how much is our cost right now? Okay, now you notice there is a here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There is an easy way to know the overall. What is your overall in terms of project duration and overall cost in your project? So we can go to format and you can click on project summary task to open up the 0 columns. 0 column indicate the information about your project. So your project will be 16 days overall. How about the cost? Okay, I can insert the cost. Let's say total cost. Do we have total cost, or we just simply put cost cost there? Okay, see 210 because I only have 2 activity. Okay, let's say I input all the activities, and you notice that I can input the cost using the same concept here, or I can just simply input the cost using different concept. Okay, now let's click on, you notice there is one small box here. It's very useful. You click your mouse here and right click. You notice there are selection. Entry mean the default, you are now on the current entry views. If you go to cost, now you are getting into the cost table. Okay, you notice that activity A and B already do have cost. How about the rest of activity? The rest of activity, if for instance, if you do not want to input all the resources, which basically that is not a good way of doing things, but let's say you just input it here, 10,000, and then 20,000. Let's say the total cost that you already calculate is there. Okay, see? Now you have every activity with some kind of cost. That should be the way. Each activity should have some kind of cost. Okay? We do not leave it blank because it's illogical. Okay, that would be the cost. How about if we click on schedule? Okay, in case you wonder where basically this is what we call the start, the early start, early finish, late start, and late finish date. And then free slack meaning to say free float. Total slack meaning to say total float. Because our activity only one line, that's why all the activity are critical. You notice that when I click on critical task, it basically show all red color, meaning to say all activity are critical. So that's why the total float is basically 0. So later on, if for instance you try to input your assignment into Microsoft project, for instance, as a checking, the question might ask about total float, the free float with regard to certain value. This is where you can take a look at those things. If you input it correctly, you should get the same result. Unless you input it wrongly, then we cannot do anything. Okay, so there are a few more things later on we will learn into our from second exercise. Okay, now we already into 1.5 hours. Okay, so that is a example of a project interface. Later on, before we close this thing, in the next session we will start going step by step using our small project. That is when you are going to recreate or duplicate. Okay, we are going to start with the option. Okay, what to click under option. In fact, when you want to create a work program, first thing first that you must do is to do the setting up. So click on project option at the file here at the bottom of the menu, and there are a few things that you need to click. Okay, we are going to click that thing later. And then number 2, when you want to start a project, number 2 is basically project information. You should click on what project start date that you want to establish. Number 3 is basically here, change working time. See the calendar. Now the default calendar is basically shown here. Okay, let me go very quickly. Let's say on 7th of June, we are going to have a public holiday, the King birthday. Okay, let's make 7th June as public holiday. How do we make a public holiday? Okay, you notice that there is 2 items here, exception and work week. So you just focus on these 2. If you want to make a public holiday, click on 7th June and then click on this exception, say King birthday. And then project start, date, and finish. You see, now automatically you already set as holiday. That's it. Okay, now work week. Let's say you want to set Saturday as a work week. Now by default, it is a non-working day. So how do you do that? Again, work week, you click on work week and detail. And you notice there is all day available here. You click on Sunday and Saturday, and then you set day, the specific time. Then you must set holiday, 8 a.m. Normally, we need to do something like this, 2 p.m. That will be morning session. And then 2 to 1, 1 p.m. and then 5 p.m. So setting this thing is very important. Otherwise, you are not going to get the right information with compared to your friend. Because see, if you click on this item, you notice on this side is basically the timing. Let's say we do have how many people here? Eight people in this class. If, for instance, based on our project that I'm going to show you, let's say you forget to set this thing the right timing. At the end of the day, you are not going to get the right answer simply due to wrong timing. Even though your calendar date, everything is correct, but then the computer will basically notice how many working hours you spend on a day, and then at the end of the day, it will give you different work hours based on the right calculation. So you should be aware of the setting. Okay, so if you, that will be the 3 things. First is basically option, and then second is basically project start date, and then calendar. Okay then, okay, that is a basic, just very basic interface to understand about a Microsoft project. And then we are going to have a break. After this, we are going to use the data that I already put into your e-learning, and then the instruction, whatever things is already in e-learning. But what you need to do is just simply follow my my explanation, and then just recreate or do the thing on your own face, I will guarantee you will get the same result as mine. It is very easy. If you spend, maybe later on you spend less than 1 hour because you already know how to do, but explaining those things will take a longer time. Okay, then that would be the first part of the lecture. Okay, any question? Okay, now I want to explain or basically go through a demonstration how to develop a work program. Okay, later on you will have to duplicate my works at your own home, and perhaps you will get the same result, and those results is the one that I want you to submit, but not now. You have until the 4th of July to submit. But if you basically get the idea, you can do within maybe 1 hour or 1.5 hours. It's not going to take long. Okay, first thing first, we are going to do some kind of file management first. File management. So let's go into whatever folder that you want to save. Let me create a folder. Okay, I already create a folder. Now let's create a folder name by using my name. Okay, because I will put inside here. Okay, first thing first, I already have the folder. So we create a 3 folder by the name of one, we call it original. Okay, we call it original. Number 2 folder, I call it plan. And then number 3, you can just copy paste, same folder anyway. I call it actual. Actual. Okay, that will be the name of the 3 folder. One is original, number 2 is plan, number 3 is actual. Okay, so now let's create a what we call our Microsoft project file. Okay, so first thing first, before we go into that, let me share with you. Okay, in your e-learning, basically I have given you 4 files. Okay, 4 file. This is what I call data file. First thing is basically task list. Okay, let me open up this task list. Okay, this is Excel file. So the task list consists of a few sheets here. The first sheet is task table number 1 is all the information that we need to input into our Microsoft project. I already prepared the task name, the duration, the predecessor, and even the resource name. Okay, and then sheet number 2, resource sheet. See, I already show you how to input resource sheet, but now we already have the resource sheet based on what I want. You notice that the resource sheet consists of manpower in yellow. The blue one is basically the equipment, and the green one basically the material. And you notice that I input rate only using unit rate for the material. I leave it open, leave it blank for manpower and the machineries. And then the maximum unit, you notice that I do not put 1, 1, 1, 1. Everything basically do have values. So this value is based on what we call planning. At one time, bar fixer, for instance, the maximum number at one particular event is basically 16. Anything beyond that would be basically we need to increase the resources, or we need to do some kind of adjustment. Let's say this is the maximum unit that we allow those type of trade to be in. Okay, resource unit. Resource unit is basically with regard to each of the item task, how much is the quantity that we are going to install based on our BQ, bill of quantities, that normally we get from the contract. If the contract doesn't say so, sometimes we are the one that need to calculate. And in most of the time, you must remember when we do scheduling, we do not do scheduling based on the BQ itself, because sometimes BQ is, they lump together all the unit. Whereas when we do the scheduling, we base on the element. Sometimes the element are in a smaller portion. So we need to break up the unit into the unit that we are going to divide our tasks. Okay. So that's why civil engineer need to learn quantity surveying, because they need to use that thing in planning. So planning is the responsibility of engineer, not the responsibility of QS. So that's why we need, sometimes we need to know the fundamental. And then the some of the fixed cost example as well. Okay, so those are the first file. Okay, and then I also give you the setting. If you click on this PDF file, the setting. Remember, I told you, when we want to start any project, by right, we should start with the setting. Click on the option and then the setting. So the view looks a little bit different because this is based on Microsoft Project 2010, but the concept or the item are very much the same. Okay, very much the same. So if you miss my explanation, you can always go back and take a look at this thing. And then step basically consists step by step instruction how to construct this project. Okay, but we are not going to go into this step. Okay, I'm just going to go through the step. Perhaps you can listen to the my explanation, or later on I already share you the pre-recorded video in one of the file. Okay, you can take a look at those things, and including this video as well. Okay, and then another file, project S-curve. Okay, project S-curve, you click on project S-curve, okay, you are going to see this value. So this value we are going to generate based on folder number 2 and then folder number 3 later on. Okay, but now we are going to focus on first thing first, to develop a project. Okay, how to develop a project? Basically, everything we will put into folder number 1. Okay, let's focus on folder number 1. So first thing first, let's open up our project. Okay, let me open up a project. Okay, always we open up a blank project. Okay, can you see the Microsoft project on your screen?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. All right. Okay, so you open up a project, blank project. Okay, forget about the first one that I show you. That was just example. Now this is the real thing. Okay, first thing first. What we must do is basically to save this file. So click File, Save As. Where do you want to save as? Okay, into the folder that we already created. Go into, try to find those things. Where is that thing? Okay, let me, is it this one? Yeah, that should be the one. Okay, so we are going to save into the original folder, folder number 1. Click on folder number 1, and then you save this file as your name. Okay, let's put my name. You will put your name. Okay, so that I can trace later on whose file is that. So just simply put your name and then click save. Okay, So at the top of, which I'm not really sure whether you can see or not, at the top of this file, you can see that the file now already changed from project 1 into Rahim. So Rahim is basically the file name that I'm going to create now. Okay, so first thing first, there are 3 steps that we should start first. We should do the setting up. Click on file, click on option, and then there are a few setting up that we are going to basically do. Okay, general, you don't have to change anything. There are some issues with regard to color later on when you can if you buy, for instance, in the Shopee, they do sell books with regard to Microsoft Project 2010 19, sorry. You can buy, and then basically you can follow how to change a few things here. But we are just going to go into display. Okay, in display, we are just going to change USD. Instead of USD, let's say we want to use Malaysian Ringgit. Malaysian Ringgit, click on M. Click on M, or the M thing will appear. Try to look for MYR. So that will be Malaysian Ringgit, and the symbol will be R, M. Sometimes only R will appear. So don't worry. Just type in M. So that is the symbol that you want. If that is the symbol, if you want to change to whatever currency in your country, try to find those things. Okay, then you might want to click the entry bar. So mine is already clicked. Maybe I already ticked first time, so it will appear as tick. So the entry bar is remember the one that you show here in I'm not really sure whether you can on the top of the let me close here. Okay, this is what we call here. This my cursor here. This is what we call entry bar. Okay, sometimes the entry bar is not there. It is very difficult for you to write or edit something. So that is the entry bar. Okay, now let's again go back to M, because I didn't click change, save. That's why it is not being saved. Okay, so you just simply change into MYR. Make sure it is RM. So if this one is not tick, you might want to tick. So that's it for display. That is the thing that you only change. Decimal digit, you can change to whatever decimal you want. Okay, never mind. Then second one, schedule. Okay, now schedule. All right. So for your project, I want your project to be to start on 1st January 2022. 1st January 2022. So now let's try to check calendar. Okay, calendar is here. Okay. Calendar. Now let's go into next year. So next year, 1st January would be on Saturday. Okay, sorry. That will be on Saturday, January 1st, 2022. Okay, so Saturday, remember, Saturday. So if it is Saturday, then you should change the day to be Saturday. If your project start on Monday, that will be on Monday. If your project start on Tuesday, so choose that the day that the project start. So this is what the week start mean. Okay, otherwise you will get thing wrong, because the week cycle will not be accurate. If, for instance, your project start on Thursday, whereas you click on Monday. Monday is the office start. In Kuala Lumpur, people start the office on Monday, but not the project start. Okay, project start should be based on whatever day that you set your date. And then fiscal year. If the project start on January, okay, that should be okay. If you start on February, then you should change to February. Okay. All right. So, and then default start time. Okay, let's say our project is going to start at 8 until 7, not 8 to 5. So 8 to 5 is default time, meaning to say it is 9 hours. In between, there is a lunch hour. So in reality, there is only 8 hours of working time. But now we want to change into 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Okay. So 7 p.m., meaning to say it is 11 hours, but we have to deduct with lunch hour. Okay. So meaning to say our working hours is only 10 hours per day. Let's assume that way. Hours per week. Let's say if you do not have, we do not want any public holiday. Saturday and Sunday we are working, is working days because we are running late because of COVID. Let's say we have to rush. So meaning to say, if you are working 10 hours per day, 7 days a week, that will be 70. And how about days per month? Days per month, let's assume 30 days. Even though some of the month could be 30, 31, 29, whatever, we just assume 30 days. Okay. And then show assignment unit as decimal. Perhaps when you open up your first time for Microsoft project, it will show percentage. What does percentage mean? So if I do not change into decimal, let's say I put one workers mean 100% in terms of percentage. So if it is 100%, it could be 50%. 50% in decimal, it means 0.5. How could a workers be 0.5? Half a workers. What does that half a workers mean? Half a workers or 50% simply mean that workers is going to work only part-time, or instead of 8 hours or maybe 4 hours. Okay, so when we start, if you want to learn, then don't use the percentage. You might get confused. Just use decimal. Okay, new task created. Choose auto schedule. When you choose auto schedule, automatically it will be auto schedule. You don't have to change on your screen there. And then you notice that duration is entered in. You can input duration in terms of minutes, hours, days, week, and month. You can mix and match in a one work program, but don't get confused. Just use one unit will be better. Work is entered. We do not input and work. Work will be automatically calculated. Work is being defined as duration times unit. Unit means to say number of either workers, equipment, etc. That's what hours is being defined. Okay, now this is the issue. Default task type. Okay. Normally, we are going to get confused with fixed unit and fixed duration. And tomorrow you are going to learn, okay, you are going to learn resource scheduling. Then you are going to be introduced to the concept of when we do what we call scheduling, is it time-driven or resource-driven? Time-driven, where we basically fix the duration. Then we figure out how many resources. This concept is the one that we are going to use. But if you click on fixed duration, okay, fixed duration, make sure this box is not being ticked. This box is when you click on fixed unit. This is what we call resource driven. Resource driven means to say, let's take example. First scenario, fixed duration. Let's say piling. I fix the duration for piling for as 10 days. Then I figure out, oh, if I need to complete in 10 days, I need 2 piling rig. Okay, fair enough. That's what we call fixed duration. We fix the duration and then we figure out how many resources to match our duration. But on the other hand, let's say we fix the resources. In most cases, it could be happening in our construction site. For instance, we only have one tower crane. Why not 2? Why not 3? Well, because we are using what we call fixed unit concept. Okay, fixed unit concept, because of there is no space available. We can only put one tower crane there. So if we put one piling rig in our example, so initially we already calculated 10 days equivalent to 2 piling rig. But then if I only want to put one piling rig, automatically the time will be adjusted into 20 days. As simple as that. Okay. So the computer will do that. If you don't believe me, later on, let's say you put something like this, click this button, and then when you change resources, automatically you notice that the duration that you input now has been changed by the computer. Why? Because of this concept. Okay, so now for the start, we are not going to use fixed unit. So you just click fixed duration, make sure this box is not ticked. Initially, it was not being ticked. Then this box, you can click on auto link when changing the automatically schedule. So this box is basically nothing. All right, so that's it that you need to change in schedule. Again, I repeat, change to Saturday, and then January is there, 8 to 7, change to 10, 70, and 30, and then click on decimal, auto schedule, days is there already, then click on fixed duration. I only click on auto link, the rest here, this box is left not being ticked. That's it. The rest I do not change anything. So that is for the schedule manual. Then for save, proofreading, no need to do that. For here, this menu save. Okay, if for instance you are working, it is better that you click on auto save. Make it 10 minutes, whatever minute that you want, and then you click on prompt, because otherwise, if for instance suddenly your battery is dead, at least you have the file being saved every now and then. Okay, so in save mode, that is the thing that you need to do. Then advance. Okay, in advance, everything remain the same except the last portion here. You can basically tick all the box. Okay, how do you know what to tick? This is what you need to understand Microsoft project. You need to learn, you need to go for courses, then only, but we are not going to go through those details. All right, then lastly, add in here, not add in, where is that? Trust Center. Click on Trust Center, click on Trust Center setting, and then legacy format. Click on the last one, allow loading with a legacy non-default file format. Maybe in the previous version or Microsoft project can read Excel and what we call another software. Is it sharing? I couldn't remember the name of the software. So that is the issue. Okay, if you already click on those things, and then it is the time to save your setting. Click OK. One more time, click OK. There you go. How do you know that you already do the setting right? Click on option, click on display, you see, MYR is already there. How about schedule? Yeah, everything is there already. And then advanced, okay, all the bottom one already tick. Okay, I'm good to go. So that will be the setting. First thing first. All right, now, second. Second is basically click on menu project. We want to set the project information, project start date. Double click here, this box, project start date. We click on 1st January 2022, which is on Saturday. Click on that date and then click OK. The rest you do not do anything. Click on OK. That's it. Okay, that will be, you notice that, where is the line there? Okay, there's a small line, dotted line. here, 1st January, indicate this is the starting on our project. It's already denoted there. But you notice there is a gray line in between white line. It indicate the holidays. Holiday is still there because the third thing is we must change the working time. Okay, we must change the working time. Okay, now let's click on the project and then change working time. Okay. All right. Now, we do not want to set any holiday for this project except for Saturday and Sunday as a working time. Now, let's click on next year calendar. See, January 2022. You notice Saturday and Sunday as working time. Now, I want to change this thing to become working. This is non-working. Now, I want to change into working. The rest of the day are the same, except the timing. Remember the timing for each day would be from 8 until 7. So I need to change the timing as well. So now I click on here, work week, click on detail. Because all the days I need to change according to the right timing. So the best thing is that I select all. How to select all? You can use your shift button, click on shift button, hold on the shift button and click on the last Friday here. Everything will be selected. All will be selected. That is, sometimes you need to use either hold button or shift button in order to select all or select selected things. Okay, and then click set days. Then you need to set the timing. 8 a.m. You just simply type 8 a.m. Don't worry about the yeah, you can just simply type there, and then 12 to 1 is the break, 1 to 7 p.m. Okay, now you are ready to go, and then you click OK. When you click OK, click another OK, and you see what happened. It doesn't change yet because I'm using the online, because sometimes it's a bit later. Okay, now let's click again. Okay. Okay, sometimes it is a little bit to refresh. Okay, little bit to refresh. Now let's go into our, see, next year. Click on each of the thing or the day, first day, second day, and you notice the timing. The timing now being changed. Now the timing is being changed. Okay, so meaning to say you are ready to go. Now the setting is right. Okay. Except that this thing, when you refresh, you will not see the line again when you go into the first day of 2022. Okay, now let's go into, okay, now I'm ready to basically to start my project. Okay, remember I need to input task name, duration, etc., etc. here. Okay, etc., into here. Okay, go to the data that I gave you. Okay, you notice that one thing. So you notice that now the one that I show you, the gray color, Saturday and Sunday, it basically disappear. Sometimes take a while in order to refresh. Okay, it is the online things. If you do at home, that will be better. That will be much faster. Okay, now I already do the setting. The next is basically to fill up the information inside here. And most of the time, to prepare the information is much more difficult. It will take the most of your time. So once you already have the information, then you can input into Excel and then export or basically copy and paste. It will be very fast. So that's why putting the information into Microsoft Project is one of the easier part. The most difficult thing is basically to prepare the information. Okay, now let's assume we already prepared the information. Okay, let's say Excel, I already have the task name, site work, zone A, everything else is already here. And you notice that I also input certain information such as site work, zone A, site work and zone A is not the task basically, it is just the summary. Because I want to group certain thing under site work, foundation work, or close out. And then I will also group under zone A and zone B. I will use the indent button that we learned in order to organize WBS. Okay, then column B will be duration. Everything will be in days. Predecessor is here. And then resource name. Okay, I will basically input the first 3 columns first into Microsoft Project. Then I will input the resource name, resource sheet, then resource name. Okay, so we will use these three what we call column first. But before we do that, remember the way I arrange. Column 1 is task name, column B is duration, and C is predecessor. I can just simply copy all of them in one go. That will be faster. You can import, okay, but you can learn that thing. Okay, if the computer is asking you to save, oh, so say yes, because you are doing the right thing, that will be good, because now everything is being saved every now and then. Okay, now I want to input into task name, duration, and predecessor, but predecessor is here. So what can I do? I can just drag predecessor so that it will be sitting right to the duration, so that I can just simply copy the whole thing at one go. Okay, so now we are going to learn about copy and paste, the easiest part. Okay, now let me check it here. What is this thing? That will be better. Okay, now later on, what you can do is basically you just simply copy second row until row number 2 until row number 27 for column A and B. Click, copy, then go to your Microsoft project. Where to paste? Paste on the first task name. Okay, the first row there, just simply click paste and see whether you can paste or not. Okay, now it is working. So now it's already being pasted. So you see, you already completed half of the work. Half of the work you already completed. Except that next step, okay, next step, you notice that task name now and then duration, basically we have not putting them into WBS. Let me show you the WBS column, insert column, W. You see, all the item here is 1, 2, 3 until 26. What does this thing mean? It doesn't mean anything. In terms of WBS, this is not a good way of doing things, okay? Because everything is on the first level. By right, we want to group into some of the item under site work, some of the item under foundation work, some of the item under close out, and then even in the site work, we are going to subgroup under zone A and under zone B. Okay, how do we do that? Now we are going to utilize the menu of indent that we learned. Okay, you notice that the color, the yellow color, site work, foundation work, and close up. Meaning to say, on the first level, we do have site work as item number 1, and then foundation work as item number 2, and close out as item number 3. By right, the numbering of WBS should be site work number 1, foundation work number 2, and then close out number 3. So how do we do that? Well, very easy. Remember, I highlight all the items that fall under site work first. Don't highlight including of the green, the yellow one. So basically everything under the green and before the other green and the yellow color, you do highlight. Okay, then I use indent. Click on indent. Okay, now I already group item number 2.
Sorry, my Gantt chart is not start from 2022. Still start from June today.
Did you click on the project start date? Project start
Project
date.
start. Sorry, can you
Project start date. The project. You
okay.
click on project information.
Okay. Can I?
Start
Thanks.
date. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right then. Okay. So now you already, I already choose item row number 2 until row number 7, and then I click indent. Okay. So indent. Okay. And then next, I want to group item for foundation work. Foundation work is anything item row from row number 9 until row number 22. 9 until 22. I choose those things first. Then I click indent. I see. Now, when there is a small triangle there is being created, and then the direction is being highlighted bold, meaning to say you already group them under foundation. Okay, and you notice what happened to WBS numbering. See, this is numbering 1 and 2. Now we are getting into the right thing that we want. And lastly, close out. Close out, there is 3 items that being put under close out. So I highlight close out. I highlight 3 items there. Row number 24, 25, 26, and then I click indent. Okay, see? Now we do have 3 items. Okay, let me close. If I close, let's click on this button here. Okay, let me click there and there. Now you see, there are only 3 items shown. So these are the summary item. Okay, they are summary item. And why the question mark is there? Because we have not organized the zone yet. Once we organize, then this question mark will disappear anyway. And how about our, let me make it smaller here. Okay, let me,
Sir, I want to ask regarding the start date and the finish date. It's like set automatically, right? We don't need to do the starting and the finishing date.
For the activity.
Yeah, we don't need to do it, right?
No.
Automatic.
Yes, it is automatic. It is being drawn from the beginning of the project. Okay, automatically. Okay. Once you have all the predecessor there, it will be determined by the computer. Okay, now you see, I already grouped under the yellow color. Okay, now let's open up the first site work, because I want to group under the zone A and zone B. Okay, zone A and zone B. Okay, now for zone A, let's say row number 3 and 4 only. Okay, row number 3 and 4 or item 3 and 4 there. I highlight those things only. Don't wrongly highlight. If you wrongly highlight, then you are going to mess up a few things. So don't worry, you can go back, highlight, and then go back into the what we call outdent, then you'll get the right answer. Okay, then you click indent. You see, now I already group item number 3 and 4 under zone A. Okay, and then I will group item 6 and 7 here under zone B. Okay, now you see, if I close this thing, zone A and B, then perhaps you will get the idea. Site work consists of zone A and zone B. And under zone B, there will be 2 activities. Zone A also, there are 2 activities, which is not being shown here because I just simply show the master work program only. Okay, that's not. Okay, now I go into foundation work. Okay, now I want to group some of the item in foundation work into zone A and zone B. Okay, now for zone A, I highlight item row number 10 until 15, and then I click indent. Okay, now those items already being put into zone A, and then for zone B, I click item 17 until 22, and then I click indent. Okay, that's it. That's it. I'm done. Okay, I'm done grouping everything is into this the respective zone A and B. Close out. There are only a few items. We do not no need to do anything else because they belong to a few activity only. Okay, let me open up all the things in zone A and zone B here. Okay. Okay, yes. Okay, open up. Okay, there you goes. All the activity is there, and you notice that under site work 31 day. Where does 31 day come from? Okay, it's all the combination of the calculation under zone A and zone B. Okay, later on you will know there are some interrelated activities. Okay, and then zone B also the same. And how do we know we are getting the right copy and paste or organize? Okay, from the what we input, okay, we can know whether we are getting the right thing or not. Okay, let's go into project menu, go into project information, and you notice that under project information at the bottom there is a statistic. Okay, now the statistics say current project is 77 days. Okay, that is the right thing that we are doing. Okay, we can open up a 0 row. Remember, if you want to know the overall about the project, you can open up a 0 row. How to open up 0 row? Okay, go to format, click on format and click on project summary task. See, the 0 row is there and the project now 77 days is basically the overall project duration. If you do your copy and paste correctly for the first 3 items and organize according to WBS, you should get 77 days. If you get something wrong, meaning to say it might be issue with the copy paste, or sometimes it might be issue with the predecessor. Sometimes when you copy paste predecessor, some of the link could be missing. So please check back one by one where basically things go wrong. Otherwise, you will get the answer. I will guarantee for you. Okay. So now you see, we already completed task name, duration, and predecessor. So the only things left is basically to input resources. So we are now almost complete. Okay. So this is how you develop a work program. Very easy. Okay, now we go into putting resources. How to input resources? Remember, we input resources into so-called resource sheet. Resource sheet. We do not input it directly, even though I already have the Excel list of the information there. But normally, the process is that you input into resource sheet. Then basically you link those resources. That should be the right way. Okay. So now we want to input into resource sheet first. So click here at the bottom of the screen, resource sheet. You will see the empty resource sheet. Okay, now I already have the resource sheet ready. Let's go into my Excel. Okay, click on resource sheet. So these are the resource sheet ready to be copy and paste. We already learned how to type in. Okay, let me copy those things. Click on the second row, not the first row. First row is just the title name, which is similar to Microsoft Project. I just simply copy paste from the Microsoft Project and put it in Excel in order for you to see the right format. And then I just simply copy and then go into Microsoft Project, and under resource name, the first space there, and click paste. Why it is not? Something wrong there. Okay, did I? Okay, let me go back again. Okay, copy and then paste. Sometimes it's issue with online. Online sometimes it's a little bit slow. Okay. Let me try to copy bit by bit. See how. Whether it gets no, it's a bit slow. It's a bit slow. You see, it's a little bit slow. Now it only appear. Okay, let me delete this thing. Okay, let me stop the sharing so that I can copy and paste so that it is faster that way. Okay, I will come back. All right, stop the share first. Okay, let me pause.